Pots for plants can be really expensive, but there's a way to make them cheaper. When I say make them cheaper, I mean make your own pots essentially, or repurpose or upcycle another container to make it appropriate and suitable for your plants. There are so many containers in the world which are not designed to be planted in, but that you can repurpose so that they are, and they make beautiful pots for your plants. And I'm going to be doing that today. I have an avocado tree that I've been growing for the last 6 months, and I need a pot to pot it up into. I often use terracotta because it is very cheap, but I thought I want to do something a little bit different with this one. This is going to be more of an ornamental plant, and so I wanted more of an ornamental pot. So we're going to go op shopping or thrift shopping. Op shops are an awesome place to find really cheap containers for your plants. Often they can be quite old, and you can find some really unique and potentially even unusual designs. I have found this lovely vase for only $3, and I found this saucer or this small plate for $1. Now they're not really a matching pair, but the colours are pretty close and I like them. And so I'm going to buy them both and we're going to use them to do some planting. So I've got everything I need. I have got my saucer and my vase, a combined total of $4, which is fantastic. I've got this avocado tree, which I've been growing for the last 6 months or so using the Avocado pet from Avocado, which I've really loved. You can find my affiliate link for Avocado things in the description below. I really love their products. It's just a fun way to grow things. And you can see that I have pruned this. It is regrown, and so it's ready to go. It's got a good root ball as well. To prepare the pot, I need to drill a hole. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you will have heard me say a number of times that avocados are really susceptible to root rot, which means that they need really well draining soil to make sure that enough oxygen is getting in there. If they stay too waterlogged for too long without new oxygen coming in, it's going to rot. We're going to have fungus growing on those roots, eating them away, killing the tree. So really well draining soil and containers is really important when growing them. This is not going to be as well draining as a plastic nursery pot or a terracotta pot. At the moment, it's not going to drain at all because it's literally a vase. So I need to put a hole in the bottom. I'm going to need to use a masonry drill bit for this. So this is a drill bit specifically designed for concrete and so on, and so it's going to be perfect for my vase. So I'm going to get everything else out of the way. I'm going to leave my safety specs on, and I'm going to drill right in the center there. And there we have it, a hole, which will do the job beautifully. So that's a good sized drainage hole. I'm done with my drill and my drill bit. And now I'm going to add the potting mix. I'm using my own mix of potting mix here. I've made videos before about how I mix my own potting mix. I don't like using straight store-bought potting mix. It doesn't give enough drainage, I find, and I can make it better by mixing my own. The mix that I have talked about in the past is 1 part perlite, 1 part regular potting mix, just cheap stuff, and 1 part peat moss. I know that this is not an awesome shape for well-draining soil. It's quite tall, and especially when we start out, the ball of the avocado, it's got quite a good ball, is not going to be in the bottom part of it, and so it's going to take longer to drain, so I really need to help its drainage. So I've used a lot more perlite in this mix and less peat moss. I'm using a little bit of vermicompost, which is one that I've grown from home, and that's something which is essentially a natural fertilizer. It's not technically a fertilizer because I can't guarantee how much of each nutrient is in there, but that's what it's going to be. It's also full of active bacteria, which is going to help everything settle because bacteria are part of the environment. So I'm going to put some soil just in the bottom part of this container here. I'm also aware that the top of the container is not very wide, where on most pots that's the widest part of the pot. So we're not going to be losing as much water due to evaporation. So I'm going to really need to be careful about how I water this plant in here. So I'm just going to fill it up a little bit. And now I'm going to add the avocado. So I'm going to take it out there, and look at that beautiful root mass. I'm going to carefully take all of those roots through the Avocado, and the way that they've grown, it's going to make this a little bit challenging. I really don't want to break any, because as we learned, you don't want to prune your roots because that's just going to cause you problems. And so to wind this around actually is going to be quite a challenge. But we're getting there. So really I want to be keeping as much root as I can. So after winding it around, because it's been in that small container for quite a while, we're done with the avocado pet. We'll set that aside. I can do that again, which I'm really looking forward to setting up. So now we've got our roots and our root ball. So now we're at the next fiddly bit where I'm going to add this into here. So to do that, I'm going to just fit them in. And I don't mind if my seed is sitting slightly above the soil or if it's totally buried, but for today, I'm just gonna keep it right about there. So this is gonna be a lovely ornamental plant. It's gonna be pretty tricky to repot and rehome later on. So this is gonna be an ornamental plant for the next little while. I'm actually quite liking this lean. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have this as more of an ornamental feature tree inside. So that's all good. So I'm going to now just backfill it. So I'm slowly adding soil to cover the roots. I'm going to tap it once it's just about full to settle the soil, because there's going to be lots of gaps in there at the moment. And I want to try and keep the tree centered, because it's hard to move once it's planted. So now I'm going to tap it down, and it's gone down about that much, which tells me that I need to add a little bit more. But really, we're pretty close to being done now. I try not to compress it, like compress the soil down, because that's going to just compact it, whereas tapping it is just going to help it settle. You don't want to over tap it as well though, because that's going to cause those problems. You want it to be nice fluffy soil. And that is looking pretty nice. I know my camera's not quite tall enough, but that's in there. It's not quite a lean, and I think I want to accentuate that. So we're going to do that. I need to water it now. So I moisten the soil to mix it, because I don't want to breathe in perlite and all of those things, but it's not enough to actually have the plant watered, so I'm going to water it. This is a solution of mostly water, but also with a bit of worm tea, because I quite like my worm tea. And so I'm going to water it, and I'm going to water it until I notice it's starting to drip out the bottom, which won't be long. And there we have it, it's just started running out the bottom. I'm going to keep my legs away from there because I don't really want that on me. But there we go. We have just planted this gorgeous little avocado tree in this absolutely lovely container. I'm going to let it drain, so I'm going to let it properly drain, and then I'm going to be placing it on this saucer inside. What a lovely plant, and what a lovely pot. So in this video, we have gone shopping, and we have found a really lovely, very cheap, beautiful pot for an avocado tree. You could do this with any of your other plants as well, especially well-draining ones. Putting a hole in the bottom is going to be really important so that we do get that drainage. Some plants don't need it so much. For avocados, especially need that drainage hole. You may not agree with my choice of pot, and that's okay. It was so cheap that I could do it again, and the same with you. You could do it again. If you know where to find cheap containers, which aren't traditionally pots, you can make them into pots very cheaply. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it and you found it interesting and has given you some ideas, some inspiration. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. I'd love to know what you thought about this video in the comments below as well. And do consider subscribing to Scott Grows an Avocado Tree for more avocado and plant related content. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.
Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree.